Back in Toronto, it is wet, but not a downpour, and we will race coming up in just a few moments. The cars are on their 2 parade or pace laps, and this is how they will line up today for the second half of the doubleheader in Toronto for Indy Lights. Spencer Piquet and Ed Jones on the front row. Jones actually had an incident late in race number 1, so he came in and took tires to get the fastest lap of the race. That's how you line up qualifying for race 2. Second best qualifying lap or race lap if it's better. Row number 2, R.C. Enerson had a great one going yesterday until a mistake. He starts right next to Nelson Piquet Jr. They were involved in that frightening incident in race 1. Then it's the championship leader, Jack Harvey, and Felix Sorales, who had a podium taking away yesterday after they failed post-race tech inspection. Shelby Blackstock coming off his best finish yesterday of 5th position, and Juan Piedrahita, who was out before they got to the green flag, essentially. Same with Scott Anderson right behind him. Kyle Kaiser's best finish with a 3rd place finish yesterday, and then Ethan Ringel in row number 6. All right, time to find out keys to this race and Anders Insider.
Well, the biggest thing with Toronto is to note that it is by far the bumpiest track on the street circuit of the street circuits this year. So it's incredibly tough to manage, especially here in the wet. And then opening lap stunts. Let's watch out for those heading into turn 3. A lot of accordion effects happening there going into that brake zone. Finally, push to pass. You can now save up to 60 seconds of push to pass throughout the race here. So let's see for the strategy that the different teams and truck drivers play on that.
Weather plays a huge factor because we have rain, not a downpour, more than a sprinkle though. If it stops, that makes things very interesting if the track starts to dry out. Right now, everybody on the Cooper tire wets.
And just look at that shiny concrete right down there in turn 9. That's so slippery, so they can't do much acceleration on that.
11 turns, nearly 1.8 miles. Back on the main straightaway, and Jones spins. From 2nd position, Ed Jones spins. They will wave off the starts.
He spins again. We saw this yesterday coming off turn 11. That Mazda engine has so much turbo boost that it just kicks them around, and especially in the wet now, that's incredibly tough to control. But this is going to relegate him to the back of the pack. He will not be able to move back and take his position, so he's going to have to start from the back of the field. So that's obviously a huge blow for his championship hopes.
3rd in the championship, just 5 points behind 2nd place Piquet and 24 behind Harvey. And there you see it, on the gas coming out of the corner.
It's just such tough conditions here. It's bumpy. You have that concrete patch that he's going over. You have all sorts of sealants. And let's have a look now at Nelson Piquet. Oh, he just turns. He's got too much steering input in, hits the throttle, and spins it around.
One more look. We're looking at the blue car in the front row. Piquet on his outside. And does he make contact? Just very slight contact with the right front of the car. Let's go down to pit lane and Katie.
Ed Jones was extremely excited to be back on a street course this weekend after he also had a rough month of May in the Freedom 100. When I talked to him yesterday, he said this track is very technical, but he does enjoy the challenge. He called it a driver's track and says he has a lot of fun, but he just needed to be more aggressive. Nelson Piquet qualified higher than he was, and he said, obviously, the Carlin Racing Team has the car. I just need to drive.
We're going to go green single file this time. Piquet, Enerson, Piquet, Harvey coming through. Jones, there we saw him catching up to the field, but he has to start at the back of the pack. We'll try again. They'll get through turn 11 with no problem this time. We're on the green and a couple of wiggles, including Harvey in the back, and Piquet gets a great jump on Enerson.
Great jump for him there into turn 1. Look at this, they're all seeking the outside line. That concrete on the inside of the track is super slippery, so they got to weave their way just around that, and now onto that long back straightaway. Let's see if anyone is close enough to be on that push to pass button to make it move.
Look at the spray, and the visibility has to be incredibly challenging, and here's Harvey going on, the Formula One veteran.
Oh, just a beautiful move down the inside. Now can he slow it down before the corner? He runs a bit wide, but he manages to do that. Look at Sorales down the inside.
Everybody hangs on.
It's actually a surprisingly clean opening lap here so far. as we see, look at how slow they have to go over that concrete patch in turn 5. Now they're going to roll into that turn 6, just trying to find that grip, and that's really what they have to do here on the opening laps, is look for where that grip is, avoid the puddles, figure out how can I make the car not aquaplane.
Now that first lap did count after the start was waved off. So the first lap under caution, we went green starting lap number 2. And there's Piquet out front by about 5 or 6 car lengths. He'll complete the first lap under green here in just a moment. Piquet just wants to stay clean in green.
Look at this beautiful throttle application off that final corner for him and R.C. Enerson. Look at the line difference between R.C. Enerson and Jack Harvey as they come off that final corner. Jack Harvey a lot narrower, but just look at this. Zero visibility here for Nelson Piquet Jr. These conditions are so tough to manage. Look at this again around that concrete patch, and now on the power down that long back straightaway.
So it's Piquet, Enerson, Harvey, Piquet, Sorales, Blackstock, Piedrahita, Kaiser, Anderson, Jones, and Rinkel. There's the leader, Piquet, and R.C. Enerson in second. We saw that massive crash yesterday. The early word is, as we watch Sorales get around Piquet, Piquet trying to come back. Will he get him side by side for a moment? Sorales in the red car hangs on for the position.
Piquet just cannot get the power down there up the hill in turn 3. He was on the concrete, just absolutely no grips whatsoever. Look at this, just slipping and sliding the car. Piquet, though, was one of the only cars that did some rain running in the practice sessions, so he should really have an advantage here. So I'm not sure what's going on with him right now. He's falling back at the moment.
We're mentioning Enerson. Originally, we didn't think he'd be able to go today. He's not only back in the race, that's the same car that crashed, that went up in the air, went over the tires upside down. Amazing job by the Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports crew as we watch Felix Sorales having a good run here today. They stayed until 3 a.m. They were back here by 7 a.m. this morning getting that car prepared.
Yeah, I can't believe they got it ready, but let's think about this. R.C. Enerson, a rookie to Indy Lights Racing, came in from USF 2000, had that massive crash, and it would be so easy to be discouraged or scared after that, but he's just come right back, and look at this, he's chasing down Spencer right now.
For more on 18-year-old R.C. Enerson, let's check in with Katie.
There's 4 cars in the Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports team, which makes them the biggest team in the Indy Lights field, and it's a complete team effort over there at SPM. Last night, even Jack Harvey's dad pitched in to get R.C. Enerson's car ready for today. They ordered dinner and worked through the night so that he could start third in today's second race.
He's already picked up a spot because of the mistake Jones made, losing control at the start of the race. Enerson is within range of Piquet to see if he can make a mistake. Jack Harvey, the championship leader, is also lurking back there in third position. Sorales in fourth, Piquet rounding out the top 5. Underway in the wet here, the second of 2 in Toronto. Indy Lights on NBCSN. We're working lap 7 of 45 scheduled, or 60 minutes in Toronto. Indy Lights presented by Cooper Tires with Anders Krohn. I'm Kevin Lee, and we are under yellow with Spencer Piquet out in front. Here's why we went yellow just a moment ago. Scott Anderson losing it through turn number 11.
Just loses it on entry to the corner, and that must have been on an upshift there.
And then right after that, once we did go yellow for the debris left from Anderson's car, Ed Jones, who spun right before the start, fell back to last, had worked his way up to 7th, but somewhere, Anders, he clipped somebody.
Yeah, this has been quite the day for Ed Jones already. Only a few laps into the race. He's been up and down, up and down. He's clearly got the pace here. He's got a lot of experience in the wet racing in Europe, where it typically rains a lot more than in the U.S. So he has a lot of experience, so now it's just a matter of him coming back to the front again.
But the yellow does allow Jones to change the front wing and not lose a lap. So he is 10th, but he is on the lead lap, and he is bunched up with the rest of the field. Meanwhile, Anderson already a couple of laps down as they continue to work on his car on pit lane. He'll go green. Next time by, it's Piquet, Enerson, Harvey, Sorales, Piquet, Blackstock, Piedrahita, Kaiser, Rinkel, and Jones.
And just watch for Spencer here. He's going to try and get an early jump yet again here. And he does, and R.C. Enerson spins it.
So challenging when you get on the throttle while it's still curving. Need to wait until you get going straight, and the start is waved off for the second time. Someone loses it here in the wet. Easy for me to say, obviously, because you got to go to keep up, and that's the advantage the leader has. He's really the only one that can wait until it's straight before he fully accelerates.
All year long, we've talked about how much power this Mazda engine puts out. 2.0 liter, 450 horsepower. And that's great when the conditions are dry, but right now it's torrential downpour, and it's so slippery out there that these guys can't keep the cars underneath them. Just a little bit of steering input is all you need, and that turbo kicks in, and look at this, his rear end is broken. His left rear has been bent out, so he is going to have to pay a visit to pit lane. Great shape for him. He's been quick all weekend long, had that huge crash yesterday, and now he's got this, so not the weekend RC Anderson was hoping for at all.
Anderson was in position for a podium running in seconds yesterday and was running second in this race today. It's going to happen, though. This young man just turned 18 in March and made the jump up from USF 2000. Young American driver from Florida has shown some real talent this season, but there are things that go along with that.
You know what? He's done a couple of mistakes here and there, but overall, I've been so impressed with everything he's done this year. Just building a lot of momentum. And Katie, what do you got for us?
The team just came over the radio and told RC his left rear toe link is bent. He's going to come into the pits to try to get that changed. They're checking the pit carts now to see if they even have one out here on pit lane. Yesterday, after the race, when he rewatched his crash, he said, wow, I just got to thank the manufacturers. He walked away from that crash, and he wasn't gun shy. He was ready to come out and get redemption today.
And he's got a couple of podiums already in his rookie season in Indy Lights. Second at Indianapolis in the Grand Prix, third at Barber. We go back to Green Flag Racing. In the sole red car out front, that's Spencer Piquet. Jack Harvey has now moved up to second. He's the championship leader. He and Piquet are 1-2 with Harvey leading. Sorales looking to the inside in the red number 4 car. Not that time.
And that was really smart what Harvey did there. It looked like he overslowed the entry to the corner just a little bit. But what he was doing is he was trying to set himself up for a good run down this straightaway. Now look at Felix. Is he going to be able to do anything here? He's going to look to the outside into turn 3. Can't make that happen.
He raced his way back to the podium yesterday after contact early in the race and a visit to pit lane. Here he's battling for second position right behind Jack Harvey.
And it's just so tricky right now in these conditions. These cars kick up so much water. So when you're right behind someone, you can't actually see the car. You can't see the track. The only thing you can see is the red light. The red light that's behind the car, that's the only thing you can see. So you're looking for visual marks anywhere you can on the wall to try and figure out where do I need a brake. Look at this, we can barely see Felix Sorales, and that's in one of the slower parts of the track. So incredibly tough conditions here.
Meanwhile, as we watch Jack Harvey running in second, he's been Mr. Consistent this season in his second year of Indy Lights. And he's got the big moments too. He won on the road course and on the oval at Indianapolis. Jack Harvey is a testament to what a second year at the same level can do for you. He clearly looks ready for IndyCar now.
He certainly does, and that was the talk that him and his team owner Sam Schmidt had prior to this season. Jack wanted to move up to the Verizon IndyCar Series already this year, but Sam said, let's do another year in Indy Lights. Let's make sure you're 100% ready, but I firmly believe that he is ready for the Verizon IndyCar Series at this stage.
Meanwhile, at this point, Spencer Piquet has an opportunity to sweep the weekend, but much can still happen. More on Jack Harvey with Katie.
When we talked to Jack Harvey in Victory Lane after the Freedom 100, he said, this has been the pinnacle of my career so far. Now I hope this proves to all the IndyCar teams out there watching that I'm ready for IndyCar. He said he's ready to make that step up. Now today, he's hoping for a second win of the season because yesterday was his dad's birthday.
Very nice. By the way, Sean Rahal won the other race at Indy. Harvey won race 1 on the road course. Rahal went second and first there for 8-star. They're not here this weekend. He and the team still working on the budget, hoping to be back and joining the series again soon. But Sean Rahal has greatly impressed us in his limited time back in Formula cars after racing sports cars and stock cars for a few years.
Yeah, he did an amazing job in his rookie campaign in Indy Lights. Only did 4 races and won one of them. Was on the podium and one other one. But Jack Harvey, when you look at this guy, he really did make a brave move to come to the United States of America. He was well on his way to go into Formula 1. He's on the Racing Steps Foundation program, which takes drivers to F1. But him and his management, Racing Steps Foundation, decided, no, let's try the American route. Let's try to pursue Verizon IndyCar Series. And here he is, winning races. Oh, look at that moment coming off turn 2. Man, oh man, was he sideways. That boost in that Mazda engine just kicks in so violently.
I'll A lot still can happen as we race in the wet in Toronto. Right now, Spencer Piquet is in control, but everyone hanging on. Harvey in second, Sorales in third. Stay with us from the streets of Toronto on NBCSN. Welcome back to Toronto with Anders Krohn, Katie Hargett. I'm Kevin Lee. It's Indy Lights presented by Cooper Tires, the second of a doubleheader this weekend. We are under yellow for an incident involving Shelby Blackstock. We'll detail that coming up in just a moment. And we're getting set to go back to green. Actually, right now, here's the reason we are yellow just a couple of laps ago.
Same exact thing that Scott Anderson did, and same exact thing that Ed Jones did as well. Just on power, too much steering input, and that boost kicks in.
Blackstock finished 5th yesterday, but was credited with 4th, his best finish after Sorales was DQ'd. Going back to green with Piquet, Harvey, all spread out. Eventually, we should see Sorales back there in the red car in 3rd position, but where is he? That's Piquet in 3rd. Sorales was scored in 3rd position under the caution, but he must have had some mishap under caution going to the green because Piquet is in 3rd.
I can't believe what we're seeing here. We saw Spencer with an amazing jump at the restart. Let's have a look here. On board with Piquet, and another car spins just over that concrete in turn 9, jumps on the gas, spins it around. That must be the 6th car we've seen so far this race that spins under yellow.
So that's Sorales. He was 3rd under yellow going to the restart. He's now in pit lane. Also Ethan Ringel, who was running in the back but had worked his way up to the 8th position. He's on pit lane. So right now we've got, I think, 7 cars on track if Blackstock made it back out.
And look at this. Who is loving this right now? Ed Jones is. He's just making his way up the field without even passing a single driver.
Pickett's the one that's not had any difficulty. A big wiggle there for Nelson Piquet Jr.
Even he's getting caught out by that big boost there on initial throttle input. There we can see he goes around the outside through turn 9, and now he's got to be smart with how he gets on power onto that front straightaway. Let's see, he straightens up his hands, and then he can hit the power.
And the challenge of this racetrack, drivers tell me, is that there are 3 different types of surface out there, and some of the concrete does feel like ice. As we look at Kyle Kaiser going to the inside of Piquet Jr., will they both hang on?
And under dry conditions, that move would have stuck, and he would have been up the inside, and he would have been passed. But in the rain, that concrete is so slippery that the outside line is what's quicker. It has more grooves to it. The asphalt is less slippery than what the concrete is, so he was able to keep it around the outside there. Juan Piedrahita was.
That's for 4th position. Piedrahita in the red 5 car is in 4th. Kaiser is in 5th. Kaiser was credited with the podium yesterday, his best finish of the season. He's another young American driver in his first year in Indy Lights.
And the drivers just have to be so smooth with all their inputs here. They have to be so smooth with their hands, with their brake, with their throttle application, everything like that. Katie, what do you got?
Kyle, you're speaking of Kyle Kaiser moving up through the field now. Earlier in the season, he said this IL-15 really fits his smooth style. It takes a finesse to drive. When I asked him yesterday about the race today, he said there's going to be a lot of attrition in this race. He thinks a lot of guys are going to crash, which we've seen a lot of guys fall out of the race today. He said some won't have the endurance, so he hoped to just observe a few laps and then attack as we see him moving forward now.
Anders, how do you prepare for racing in the rain? Because generally speaking, there's not a lot of practice time because no one wants to take a chance at damaging the equipment, so you're always learning on the fly during a race.
Yeah, it's really, really tough, and I work with a lot of drivers from a coaching perspective, and what I always tell them is treat the first half of the race like a learning experience. Figure out where is the grip, where can I brake, how do I avoid the puddles, where do I need to go? Because there's going to be so many people falling out, making mistakes, that you're better off learning for the first half of the race, and the second half of the race, put together what you've learned, and then move forward. So that's really the way you have to treat this. Just look at this now. Piquet through turn 3, getting a big wiggle there, trying to get the power down through turn 4. Can't quite get it done now through turn 5. Another big concrete slab on the inside there that he cannot touch in order to not spin. And now look at this, turn 6. Oh, he's ever so close to Jack Harvey right now. Let's get on power, let's get on power. And now, oh man, did he get loose there. These conditions are just so tricky, and I think this is playing into Nelson Piquet Jr.'s hands right now because he races in the GRC and the Global Rallycross Championship. Look at this. Is he? No, he's not going to make it up the inside, but he's driven so many different types of cars that he's used to the car moving around on him. Not like some of these other guys who usually only drive open-wheel cars.
Piquet really working on Jack Harvey now. And another big wiggle coming back on the main straightaway for Nelson Piquet Jr. He is getting everything he can out of it, and he is on the pounce.
And he's got the second quickest lap time at the moment, so he is a lot quicker than Jack Harvey at the moment. So now he's just got to pick his spot. But again, as we go down that back straightaway, look, he can't even be full throttle until he's completely straight here. But look, absolutely zero visibility. You can't see anything at the moment.
This is memory at this point. Now, they do have the advantage that they raced yesterday, but for a lot of these drivers, this weekend is the first time they've been here. Certainly in Piquet's case, as he loses it just briefly, hangs on to it. Some of the others, though, at least have raced through here at Pro Mazda and USF 2000. All levels of the Mazda Road to Indy are here again this weekend.
And such an impressive Indy Lights debut for Piquet Jr. Yes, he has a lot of racing experience. Yes, he's done Formula One. Yes, he's done NASCAR. He's leading the championship in the Formula E championship, which goes all over the world. But he's still new to this track. He's still new to the Cooper tire. He's still new to the Dallara IL-15. So it's just incredible what he's doing right now. And now he's going to try it on Jack Harvey again. He's a lot quicker through turn 8. And now he's got to try and set him up here through turn 9, 10, and 11. Oh, almost loses it. The conditions are atrocious.
And you can see the countdown clock on the upper right. We just got word as Piquet is hanging on for everything at this point. We just got word that it will be a time race. We're on lap 18 now, just finished 17, so they're not going to get to 45 in the allotted time, so we will be looking at the clock now, but we'll keep you somewhat abreast of where we are in the lap situation. The leader is Spencer Piquet, then Harvey, and then Piquet running in third, Katie.
You talked about how Nelson Piquet has raced in so many different series, from F1 to NASCAR to GRC now. I asked him, how do you prepare for this Indy Lights race? He said, usually I would drive a simulator, but I've only got about 10 to 15 laps. He thinks his age will help him in this instance, as well as all his adjustments to other series as well.
He's a little older than many of the drivers at 29 years old. 2 years in Formula One in 08 and 09. Finished second at Hockenheim in Germany and also fourth at Japan. He's leading the Formula E championship right now. He said, I think this will be good experience. They do all street races.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. I think what he's doing right now is just fantastic, and the way he's adapted, and it's also a great thing for the Mazda Road to Indy to have such an experienced, such a well-versed driver come into the series as Juan Piedrahita and Ed Jones are in the wall.
So Ed Jones' day continues to go south. A spin before the start of the race. Contact, changed the wing, went to the back again later. Now he's going to the back one more time. We'll see if he needs to make a visit to pit lane. There we see Shelby Blackstock, who was on pit lane, so he's back out on track now, but he is 6 laps down. And Juan Piedrahita is waiting for some help before he can get going again. Piedrahita was still on the lead lap, so now we are down to 4 on the lead lap. And with all of Jones' problems, he's 5th in this race.
Unbelievable. I can't believe what we're seeing right now. And oh, and Kyle Kaiser is out of the race. What is going on?
Now we have 3 that have not had issues. Kaiser is running in 4th, so Jones, if he can keep it going, is going to move up to 4th, a massive play in the championship.
I can't believe what we're seeing here. We're seeing cars just bouncing off the walls, spinning left, right, and center. I mean, we know that the conditions are bad here, but man, these guys have got to be a little bit more patient right now.
Let's start sifting through all of this now. And this is Jones punting Piedrahita.
Just drills into the back of Piedrahita, and Piedrahita had nothing. Look at this. He's shaking his hand. He's clearly very displeased here, and now we're going to get a good visual of what happened to Kaiser. Just way too deep into the brake zone for turn 3. Narrowly avoids Piquet Jr., but smashes his car.
And Piquet is thinking deja vu all over again. This happened yesterday when someone missed the braking point and ran over me. He didn't get clipped as hard that time, obviously not nearly as massive as yesterday, but Piquet did get hit in the left rear, so we'll keep an eye if there are any issues with his car. So we're under yellow. It's a local yellow. It's a local yellow, so we're staying green with all this going on right now. And Spencer Piquet is in front. Jack Harvey chasing him through the wet here in Toronto. Stay with us. Much more to come. Indy Lights presented by Cooper Tires on NBCSN. Back in Toronto with Katie Hargan and Anders Krohn, I'm Kevin Lee. It's Indy Lights presented by Cooper Tires. Race number 2 has been, to say the least, eventful. Spencer Piquet started on the pole. He is the one that has not had any issues today, and he's run up front all day and is leading by more than 2.5 seconds. Jack Harvey has had a clean race in second position, but that's where it ends. After that, it has been a mismatch of incidents, issues for all involved. Ed Jones has had 3 different problems within the race, and he's now running in third. Just a moment ago, we saw Kyle Kaiser going off course, overshooting the corner, and we said he barely clips Nelson Piquet Jr. Well, it did do damage to Piquet Jr., and he is out of the race.
Yeah, I can say hands down, Kevin, this is the single strangest race I have ever witnessed. There's 2 drivers right now. We talked about earlier about all these drivers wanting to move up to the Verizon IndyCar Series. Right now, to me, there are 2 drivers worthy of doing that, and that's Spencer Piquet and Jack Harvey, the 2 only drivers that have been disciplined enough so far in this race to keep it on track and keep it consistent. Everything else is just, it's been madness. It has been absolute madness.
So yesterday, Piquet is leading the race when R.C. Enerson hits him from behind. Today, he's running in third position and still within range, right behind second place Jack Harvey, and Kaiser gets him from behind. We thought maybe it's a minor issue, but obviously it did enough damage to put him out of this race. So we have 3 cars on the lead lap. Meanwhile, Katie is with the former Formula One driver.
Nelson Piquet out of both races in his Indy Lights debut. Nelson, what happened?
Well, I mean, yesterday and today we got hit by the back, you know. Just a little bit of bad luck, and, you know, I think the kids are a bit too aggressive, but it's normal. I think they're all in their learning curve. You know, I've been in the same place, you know, a few years ago when I was doing my F3 and my GP2 days. So, you know, I was being a little bit cautious during the race. You know, I didn't know much about the tires, or, you know, first time driving these cars in the rain and such a tricky track like this. So, yeah, I mean, the only thing I can say is thanks Indy Lights, the whole Indy crew, for having a good welcome, Ion Cameras, you know, fantasyfeuds.com for supporting me for this race. And, you know, I mean, if I'm going to have another opportunity to be back, I'll take it.
All right, thanks, Nelson.
Thank you.
I'm massively impressed with Nelson Piquet and his attitude. He's handling this better than a lot of us would. I saw his quotes after yesterday, and it was the same thing. Very gracious. Mistakes happen. I understand. And I'm impressed that he said he wants to come back.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a driver that's done it all. He's been in Formula One. He's been on podium in Formula One. And yet, he's got the humility to come back to Indy Lights because he feels like he's going to gain something from it. A lot of drivers would not let their ego do that. So I am as well very, very impressed with him and his whole attitude, his whole persona. So great to have him in the series. And I know I'm speaking on both of our behalves when I say we'd love to have him back.
Yes, hope he can come back again. That is a great voucher for the series as well. When someone like Nelson Piquet Jr. says, I'm interested, I think this is worth my time and worth gaining some valuable experience. Now, note, we're back to a lapped race, so we're looking at 30 laps now. Originally it was to be 45 or time, but schedule is an issue today. There are a lot of series, the entire Mazda road to Indy, Stadium Super Trucks, obviously IndyCar, and more. So we have been working on the fly with the event promoters, Indy Lights, and everyone else, and we have 3 cars in the lead lap. So at this point, I think we still are going to be able to establish easily who is the best of this race in 30 laps. And so far, that has been Spencer Piquet. Jack Harvey is 3.5 seconds back. Ed Jones is in line for the podium with 3 mistakes today, and he is 62 seconds back, just barely on the lead lap.
And you know, we've looked at Spencer here, and he's mainly been unfazed the entire race long. And it may look easy, but I can guarantee you in the post-race show, he's going to say, that was the toughest race of my life. It's so tricky in these conditions not to make a mistake. With that turbo boost kicking in coming off the corners, with the torrential rain we've seen, and now he's behind Felix Morales. So now he's going to have horrible visibility, and this is, or could allow, Jack Harvey to catch up here.
Morales is 6 laps down. Pedrita in 4th is 3 laps down. Time to award our Cooper Tires Everyday Performer. There are 2 that have performed very well today, but clearly Spencer Piquet has performed the best. He has controlled this race from the pole. Spencer Piquet in the Soul Red number 12 car for Yukos Racing is in charge right now. A lot can still happen, 2 laps to go, but a great drive for Spencer Piquet.
Yeah, I think we've seen just how unpredictable this race has been, so let's hold our breath here to the end and not say anything, but the way he's driving right now is just beautiful. He's driving so smoothly. He leans the car into the corners so smooth with his hands. We see Spencer in the dry. He's very, very aggressive with all his inputs, but now just silky, silky smooth. And you know what? To keep it out front for a 60-minute or 30-lap race, rather, is mighty impressive, and it shows you the capabilities that this guy has.
And credit Jack Harvey, too. He's doing what he needs. These are the 2 that have had the perfect race here today, and Harvey is going to maintain the lead in the championship. 13 points ahead of Spencer Piquet. Ed Jones is going to survive to not lose a whole lot of ground. He's going to still be within range, 25 points back, despite the 3 mishaps in this race.
So it's the same 3 guys that we talked about prior to the race. Look at this, 13 points behind. Piquet will be after this, so he really needs Harvey to have a bad race. And Jones survives somehow, only 25 points back of the lead. So it is going to be tight as we come into those final few races of the year.
So we have seen the white flag, and these drivers trying to negotiate this slick 11-turn, 1.755 mile course one more time. And Piquet still has to deal with the spray in front of him from one of the Bellardi cars.
And he's being very smart right now. He's just kind of holding his distance behind Felix Morales. In case Felix makes a mistake, Spencer has time to react. He's going through turn 5 right now for this final time. Now through turn 6, this long carousel corner. He's just got to be smooth with his hands. Look at the smooth inputs on the hands. Straighten up the wheel and on the power, and away he goes. Only a few more corners now before he can take the big checkered flag.
Piquet continuing to tiptoe his way through. The advantage is 3.5 seconds on Jack Harvey. There you see Harvey coming into the picture. So it's a very comfortable lead for 21-year-old Spencer Piquet from Orlando, Florida. The weekend has been flawless for him. Piquet, back on the main straightaway, has controlled the weekend in Toronto and swept the doubleheader in Indy Lights. Spencer Piquet is now a 4-time winner this season.
Picture perfect weekend for Spencer Piquet. Maximum points. Wow, what an amazing drive for him, and also credit to Jack Harvey, obviously, but Spencer Piquet, him and his team have worked so hard ever since that disappointing month of May in Indianapolis, and now to return like this with such a bang and to win 2 races, man, he's back on track, and watch out for him in the championship.
Yesterday, he essentially inherited the win after the top 2 made contact. Today, he leads from start to finish, also the fastest lap today for Spencer Piquet, and he is within 13 points of the championship lead. What a day for Spencer Piquet. He will celebrate here in Canada. Stay with us. We'll hear from the winner and plenty more to come from Toronto. Indy Lights on NBCSN. A wild weekend in Toronto. Yesterday we had an airborne car. Thankfully no injuries. Today a lot of shunts, a lot of wall contact,
Didn't you say go?
3 finishing on the lead lap. Spencer Piquet wins race number 2 in Toronto. He sweeps the weekend. Jack Harvey second, and Ed Jones finishes on the podium in 3rd. Down to victory lane now, and Katie Hargan.
Spencer, that's 2 in Toronto for you, but a very wet one today. What was it like out there?
Wow, there's no grip. It was really, really sketchy out there. I mean, the Cooper tires are giving us as much grip as possible, but still, with all different concrete patches and asphalt changes, is just, really, really tricky. Driving really slow. Just had to be patient with the throttle. But Young Coast Racing guys were awesome this weekend. I have to thank them, Mazda, Piquet, Rising Star Racing, the Stutz, everybody that's helping me. Bad. It's just, I can't believe it.
Pro Mazda champion last year. Now this year in the Indy Lights Series, you've won in the wet, you've won in the dry. What does this say for your IndyCar bid?
Well, I hope it says good things. I mean, I'm doing all I can here in Indy Lights to get noticed by the IndyCar team owners, and I know they watch Indy Lights, so it definitely doesn't hurt to be able to win in all these different conditions.
Spencer Piquet now second in points to Jack Harvey. Kevin?
And the chase continues up to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca coming up in September, and this is what the championship looks like right now. 10 of 16 in the books. and it's still a 3-horse race.
Yeah, and the 3 keep separating themselves further and further away from the rest of the pack. So with these guys being in the top 3 today, I think it's safe to say that no one else is going to be fighting with them for the championship title at the end of the year.
The others, though, still fighting for positioning and trying to prove that they're worthy of funding and an opportunity in 2016 in Indy Lights or in other opportunities as well. But great drive today by Spencer Piquet, and I would say also by Jack Harvey. And Jones survives to stay on the lead lap and get on the podium and not lose too much ground in the championship.
But let's think about this right now. Spencer Piquet, 4 wins already, 7 podiums so far. He's a rookie to Indy Lights. What he's done this year with a rookie team in Juncos Racing is nothing short of staggering. I'm very impressed.
Yeah, just as much credit goes to the team and their first step up to Indy Lights. Ricardo Juncos and that group has been very impressive, just like they were when they first came to America and burst on the scene in what was then the Star Mazda series. So, Spencer Piquet enjoying victory lane. The interviews, the pictures coming up. More to come here from Toronto on NBCSN.